What up, everybody? It's Ponter here, and today we've got a not so special game. It's a game on Countryside. Countryside is one of my least favorite maps, and until recently, we never even played Countryside. I don't recall ever playing it in any good games. You know, either high quality in terms of players or just a lot of fun. It's always a grind. It's like somebody combined farmland and just made it worse. The issue with this map is on all sides. I will at least say it's symmetrical in annoyance. So everybody has an annoying spawn that is split by water, and everybody also has an easy gimme point that is cut by trees. So the USSR team has this, and the USA team also has this point, the gas station, which is inaccessible. Look, this noob, this noob spawned here, and he can't drive through those trees, so he has to drive all the way around. Shameful display. You're actually supposed to have an infantry here, but we don't even have an infantry on this team, so we're off to a great start. We've got 3 air and 3 armor. It's a great combination. I'm playing air. We're up against Peru and Blitz. So that's 2 really good air players already just charging us. And we've got noob air players. This guy is okay at air, and there's me okay at air. And everyone's just charging across. And we get to the worst control point of them all in this map. It's this guy right here, split by a bridge. I don't know why map makers just love splitting control points by bridges, but this one is really tough to cap. And so usually in a close game, nice, that's nice. Usually in a close game, this will stay neutral the entire time, and we still have not capped this because we have no infantry player to quickly cap it, and these guys got stuffed up by air. And then this CP is the last one, and it's also split by a river, but I think the USSR team has a little easier time capping it. I'm complaining that this still hasn't been capped. We're only lucky that, well, we're losing. And we've managed to cap this, thankfully. But these 2 trees, these 2 tree areas, I guess these copes, these are really what the infantry player should attack and defend here. We don't have an infantry player right now, and it's a big detriment. And unfortunately, I would say on this map, infantry is a necessity. Like, look, our air player is doing drops, and that's the only way we're capping. Actually incredible. Yeah, he's actually killing tanks over here too. So I think there's a few players we want to follow in this game. Studerball Onel and Colonel Putin. And everybody else are pretty much noobs. Grill is also just good, but he kind of knows what he's doing. We also have just a lot of noob players, and we can see this here by overextending tanks right into double heavy air. And we can, now let's just look at this fight in the center. And I have a few things to say about this fight in the center, both in this map in general and in this specific game. Like, look at what Skunk is doing. This is great infantry. I think all infantry players should just try to keep a guy out in the open, spread out in this position. I mean, he dies really fast because we know what we're doing and we want to kill it, but that's good positioning. Then it's just the blobs of heavy tanks trying to keep them spread out and move it around. And then this happens, and this is why this map is absolutely painful. Both teams, it's symmetrical at least again in its painfulness, but both teams have this are stuck in this narrow area, and you kind of need to have tanks here the whole time. Ideally, you want tanks up here and your support in this position, so you don't want to be stuck back here because this is where you get RD'd over and over and over again. But we can we're having trouble getting up here because the air is so aggressive and the tanks are so far forward. You see this? This is excellent tank play. You got your blob of heavies and you're just shooting at the AA immediately, seeing them off. And he has a scout. That's great. We also have a scout from Gorilla, so Gorilla knows what he's doing. He's got a scout above his tanks. You love to see it. And again, oh, that's a brutal air to air. He just got wiped. This methodology guy is interesting. So let's talk about these teams a little bit more. We're up against Diamr, so they have a good... Yeah, we're dying because of no inf. Again, it's a necessity. Diamr is playing support, so that's trouble. And then this methodology guy, I think I know who this is. It's a Smurf or just a random player. I don't know. He's doing some interesting support this entire game. He also has an artillery piece somewhere back here. And he's got a Jeep. I'm just killing overextended tanks. You know, this is really all I can do in Countryside. Countryside is such a bad map that I can only really play air on it unless I'm on a good team. Once again, this guy hilariously spawns up here. And he's going to have to, like, drive all the way around to be useful. We'll give this guy a shame. This guy is an interesting player. And actually, he will play an important role later on. But yeah, the pubs, this was played in February 2022. The pubs are getting funnier because there's a lot of new players. And you love to see it to some extent, but the games are really brutal because half the players do not know what they're doing. Like, this guy, just amazing stuff. And they get the cap. So notice this, they get the cap. The aggressive repair tank gets the cap. Again, they're overextending those, so the air should clean it up, but the air is busy, and this is when things get painful. And so you might say Countryside is a boring map. All you get is the stalemate over the bridge, and usually there's an inf fight. Again, the inf is necessary to control these woods, so you need drops, and you need infantry. Some snipers, either here or there, depending on what side you're on, are important. But what you can also do on this map is operate armor and support and push either this point or you push this point from the other side. So if you can get past this death trap, you see here they're dying, they have no line of sight, air can slaughter them. But if you can get here and then put pressure on this side, or just as they're doing, and this is why I think Methodology is a good player. Like, look at this. That's a powerful combination of AA combined with the inf, and then he's also got an arty and he's shelling Studer Ball. Look at that. Although he just died. He just died to this YOLO. Look at this. I think we can see the destroyed artillery. Oh, those are trucks. This guy's just wrecking stuff in the back. Oh, there it is. He missed it, but I go in. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. That's what I have to say to people using artillery. And I lose all my choppers. It's worth it though. You can't be having artillery in this, even in an 8v8. But at this point, I've reached the acceptance phase. We've lost this game. If you can notice, we've been pinned here, getting artied, getting dropped on. We finally get an inf player, and I guess we can identify Gorilla with the actually saving the day. Gorilla plays inf. And he's going to have a tough time with it. He's got heavy tanks up in his face. He's actually moved his spawn.
Your reinforcement has arrived.
And the enemy infantry player has an advantage. Infantry is a very snowbally... Look at excellent cluster, actually. Colonel Putin. We'll talk about him later. He has gone armor, and they've somehow burned this. And finally, we can operate... So this is what you have to do with this map. It's kind of annoying, but eventually you can save enough TA to do this. But you can burn the woods and drive through it. They've also burned the woods. And we've capped this. And Ruskov Troll has spawned over here all alone. Another interesting move. But he's got his own little combined arms group of Abrams and Pivads. No line of sight, no infantry support, 2 dangerous air players. We'll see how that goes. And Gorilla is enjoying the torture that is Inf on this map, because Inf has 2 choices. It can either sit in the open or it can go into these woods. And if you go into the woods, you're a target. And if you stay in the open, you're going to get killed by air or other snipers. It's brutal. And it looks like Colonel Putin has switched from armor and gone back to air. And we'll look at the scores. So Methodology is actually scoring higher than Diamer with the arty play, and Studerball is just outscoring this Flemingus, who's just, you know, it's his first day or something.
You need to push harder.
And we still don't hold the bridge. We have no line of sight. Now we only have like a noob armor player who is just charging into air. It's great. And he's dropping arty everywhere. This is not how you use arty. Like, you don't drop arty on overextended tanks. You drop it on support, or where the support probably
10
is.
minutes remaining.
Or blobs of inf. And yeah, this arty didn't really do much. But there are a lot of overextended tanks, and we've kind of almost stabilized. If we can just decap the bridge, we've stabilized, and we can feast on these terrible tanks. And look at what a wasteful TA. Missed it too. Gorilla is holding the flank, and this Ruskov troll, he died, he's trying again. So looking forward to that. And look at this. This is a mistake. I accidentally queued up 2 scans. So this was a misclick. I just burned a lot of TA, but I figured I would make lemons with the lemonade and kill an arty. Which we do.
Bringing in your units ASAP.
That's a nice kill right there. Again, I'm not sure who. Oh yeah, and he airs somebody. We also, I think we missed it. I conveniently missed an air-to-air that got me early on in this game. I believe I was coping about or lack of capping, and I got air-to-aired here. So I'll admit to that.
Unit lost.
And we have an interesting drop, and now it's been a war of attrition against these two teams. And the first to break is Peru. And Peru leaves, so they lose their one good air player, or they have 2 good air players. They lose one of their good air players. And Ruskov Troll has died, by the way. Completely wiped out. Gorilla is still surviving. He's thriving. And the Swiss Troll is getting wiped out. But again, we have hope. We're clearing out Skunk's goddamn airborne, and I'm killing the overextended tanks. And their support situation is pretty deplorable at this point. Like, we have no armor other than a noob armor, and yet I can still destroy this armor player. He's not the dumbest armor. Like, these are pretty dumb armor players, but I've been managing to control them. And we're dropping a hell of a lot of TA. Like, that's kind of overkill. Damn. But their support and armor combo has kind of lost the plot, and it's allowed us to
Reinforcements are on the way.
stabilize the game somewhat. But how do you win in this? There's still a lot of time left on the board, but if they just total dom us for a moment, it's over. So you have to attack multiple points at once. And what I talked about before, what I've seen successful is if the USA team can burn these woods, hold this area, and do what we're doing and pushing these guys far back. And we're going to talk about this in a moment. But if you can combine forces here and have... Usually you want to burn this path through this woods and then spawn your support here and an armor player here. And then you take this spot and you just hold it with combined arms. You can win pretty easily because you can pressure this point and hold this. And that gives you enough tick because even if you hold the bridge, you only get 2 chevrons of tick, and there's just not enough time left if you're down this far, which usually happens. Like, one team kind of fumbles and gets down a lot and usually just loses. And instead, they went medium air. The Strelka guy, he's Russian or something. He goes medium air, so the game gets even worse. And you know, you go from acceptance to desperation, because if you can win, you don't have to play Countryside anymore. So the faster you win on Countryside, the
Your
faster
new
you can
units are
leave.
combat ready.
So I just want to win. And now at this point, I've no longer given up. And we're going to see basically how that goes. Starts with me losing choppers and just a deadly stalemate. But
You can order reinforcements now.
the two noobs have flanked,
Your reinforcements
and
will be
nobody has
there
paid
in no
attention.
time.
And Ruskov gets the decap with his blob of light tanks. Meanwhile, Guerrilla is doing some mobile operations against Skunk, and we start clearing this point. And again, Colonel Putin knows what he's doing. He's like, he finds the weak point,
The reinforcements
starts
are here.
picking at it, and gets an infantry unit into these woods, and that's critical. And I clear this point back here. He's gonna have a tough time surviving. What we really should be doing is feeding Skunk or Guerrilla so he can outdrop Skunk, because right now Skunk, I think, still has more TA. And we spotted the artillery. Is it gonna
You
move?
can order reinforcements now.
I really hope so. And Ruskov has got his first cap. Look at that. And ooh, got him. Another arty down. And we've got a retreat, and we've got a nice cap going. And we managed to seize the bridge. And a desperation decap, you love to see this. That's perfect. And pop smoke to hide. Skunk is dropping the flanks. That's a good move, and they're charging into the bridge. But again, no, it's still double armor, but it looks like they're down to. Well, yeah, they have one support here and medium air, and I guess Diamar only has his rep tank. That's the unfortunate thing with rep tanks, man. I question calling in rep tanks all the time. Sometimes you just want
Your reinforcement has
AA
arrived.
and jeeps, and just drop jeeps, especially when you have a guy calling arty all the time. And we've got full 2 players playing heavies. And this guy, as annoying as he is with medium air, he's not the greatest. And he hasn't had a whole game to rank him up.
We're ready. to send
So instead
another
it's
wave of
one of
reinforcements.
Diamar's AAs, and there's Diamar's AA. Oh, this guy's also rocking in. But it's our turn to airbang. And what I'd love to play is 3 good heavy air players. If you can get 3 good heavy air players in an 8v8 on this, it's going to get crazy. You could just be popping off on. You basically just kill everything all the time. You'd force the other team to get mediums. And I guess if you were to play a 5v5 on this, I would get mediums opening. Double air, 1 good inf, 1 good armor. They're getting fed all the TA, and then double air. You just keep making score off of repairing the air. But that's what the other team will do. It's, 5v5s would be brutal, and then a 4v4, it's whoever has the better air player or the better inf player. I'm not sure about imbalances on this map. And now we're just desperately
We lost a
decapping.
unit.
Once again, Ruskov Troll decaps this flank, and they recap this, but if you notice, Studerball just suicided onto it because he knows what's up. And meanwhile, they're just getting airbanged in the middle. We're just parking here, bang it. And if we had good armor, we could have picked this guy. Like, this guy should not be allowed to survive. Certain armor players, they always keep a tank here with line of sight, and they're just sniping AA the second they see it. That's what you gotta do. Another decap. Genius. Oh, and they get almost the cap. Oh, that's sad. That's sad. A minute left. Look at this. Forward Jeep with Ruskov. We finally get the support and the air. The team is working on all cylinders. And this guy is reduced to spamming medium anti-air, which I guess it does see us off. That's a good reaction to the double air banging. But Swiss Troll with the clutch, that's also what you got to do. You just have to be dropping heavy air supports. So on this map, it's really dependent on... Oh, they decapped that somehow. It's really dependent on who can generate the most TA and then drop and then use heavy air supports. Look at these guys just driving into it. And a nice cap. Super close now. 30 seconds to go. Ruskov is denying the cap up here. Suicidal. Standing to the last man. It's beautiful. Artie down here. And again, Gorilla is just pressuring at another Studerball decap. And it's so close now. I'm parking here trying to deny. It's really close. We push it over. 10 seconds left. Still denying caps here. And that's still like this. It would have been better to try it, get light tanks. And won it by 1.5%. So that's a good, and best air. There we go. Swiss Troll is and these guys are laughing. So that's a good game on Countryside. It can be done. I doubt I'd ever want to play a competitive match on this, but yeah, methodology autism. Getting that already was questionable. No smokes either. Like, where were the smokes? I would have liked to see some smokes out of an Artie, especially if you get it ranked up. But yeah, that's Countryside. Definitely no O in that bitch. All right, take it easy, guys. Later.